All right. Well, welcome everybody. We're officially going to jump into our Power Hug session for this month, and I'm really excited. You might be wondering if you've joined Power Hug in the past. Hey, who's that guy? I'm I'm helping the typical maestros of Randall Aikema and Scott Dwyer here today. Randall is here with us, but Scott is taking some much deserved time away. So stepping in, and before getting to the really exciting session that we have planned today, little hint, little teaser, it has to do with Power Pages, has to do with Portal Tech. But before getting to that, wanted to just throw out some PSAs and really just frame a few things up. So if you haven't ever joined Power Hub before, it's a community for Power Platform, I would say, fanatics, whether you're an admin, whether you're a maker, whether you're an end user, whether you're getting into Power Platform for the first time, wondering about what it is, you're a seasoned vet, maybe you're an MVP, maybe you're fresh. This is a community for everybody kind of under a banner of health and life sciences. To come together, learn from one another. Like today, we're going to have an awesome presentation from the UCI team. But, outside of what we are, what we're about, we really try to keep momentum month to month with our customers, with our peers, and spotlight some amazing solutions or dive into sessions, whether it's governance or whether it's success stories or how you've scaled successfully across your organization, and anything really under that Power Platform umbrella. We want to hear from you. So if you want to engage, and I do have a couple of links here that I can throw, I think, into the chat, but yeah, we have a couple of social links and how to engage with us over on the right-hand side. So we've got our main pages, we've got feedback, we've got our YouTube channel, which we will be posting the recordings and sessions to after the fact, and our LinkedIn presence there. So if you don't want to hit the link, go ahead and scan the QR code and get engaged there. Now, just one more slide here. Perfect. In terms of our PSAs, announcements, upcoming events, February 27th, what's on the books for now anyway, we've got our Copilot Studio Autonomous Agents show and tell. So the genesis of agentic capabilities coming from Power Virtual Agents to Copilot Studio to leaning into the orchestration and generative actions and all of the goodies that come with Copilot Studio. We're going to be hanging out with Amber Weiss, our global black belt, and she'll be stepping us through, not just kind of what the current state is, but what we can expect with the agentic vision using Copilot Studio and other technologies. And hey, you'll see March 27th, TBD. So like we said a couple of minutes ago, if you'd like to get engaged, if you have a success story, if you've got a bang up solution that you've thrown together for patients, for providers, for internal, external folks across the network and beyond, we would really love to hear from you. And we'd really love to spotlight your amazing work. So please reach out, please get in touch. We can figure it out. And whether it's March or sometime in the future beyond that point, we would love to get you in and show you off a little bit. And at the bottom, this one's a little self-serving because I actually am a part of this one. We do have our freemium versus premium with Mark Smith. I'm not sure if that's the official title, but essentially we're going to be hanging out. I mentioned this is a community for all. Mark Smith has been a long time MVP in the Microsoft BizApp space. He's got the innovation pod these days. He's going to be joining our team and spelling out the benefits of looking at premium Power Platform. So looking at premium connectors and managed environments and everything that comes with premium workloads in the Power Platform. And that's coming up in just, 6 days. So middle of next week. I'm really looking forward to that one. But if you want to see a list of our all of our events, you definitely can do so with the event experiences site. Check that out. And without further ado, I want to present the UCI team. So we've got a few folks hanging out with us that are going to be stepping through. We got a preview of it last week. That's why I'm so excited. Going to be stepping through our a referral center portal. So using Power Pages, and I don't want to spoil anything. I'll just leave it at Power Pages. I know Ediz, you gave us an awesome tour of that, and Debbie and the team stepping us through some of the why, which we'll start out with. But with that, I think UCI team, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'll go ahead and get started, Debbie. My name is Ediz Tufekcioglu. I'm working at UCI. We mainly work with document management systems around our EMR solution, which is Epic. So I work a lot closely with OnBase and any other document solutions that are available to serve our customers in UC Irvine Health. And I've been doing this for some time, and we're really excited to learn about the new Power Pages and Power Platform and its capabilities. And in the past year or so, we worked out a new product for Debbie and her team to use to manage their referrals. I'm part of the IT team. She's my customer. So we basically serve her in the IT department to produce good solutions for them to use. So I'll leave it up to Debbie for the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Ediz. Hello, everyone. I'm Debbie Dennis. I'm the Assistant Director for our authorizations team at UCI. And that does include both internal and external referrals. And definitely it's been super helpful working with Ediz on these new platforms. And we're excited to tell you a little bit about where we came from and how we got here, and to share everything that we've been through. So happy to be here.
Perfect. Do we have Debbie on the line? Or sorry, do we have Tina on the line?
No, she's not available today.
Okay. All right. All right. I think now that we have our team introduced, we're setting the stage a little bit. Ediz, did you want to take control and kick off the slides that you had?
Yes.
Perfect. So we'll do a quick cutover, team.
Can you guys see my screen okay?
We can. We're inside the PowerPoint app. Yep.
Okay. Okay, perfect. All right, I'll go ahead and just maybe turn it over to Debbie real quick, and in terms of like go through maybe 1 or 2 pages, and then I'll have her speak to some of the whys and what we did with University of California Irvine Health. So for those of you who don't know, we're in Orange County, California, and we're generally like a hospital system only with a few locations up until recently. Currently, we are expanding to multiple hospitals and with recent acquisitions. And it's an expanding healthcare system. And we have quite a bit of document management needs around our EMR storage, which is Epic. So even though we're in an electronic environment, departments like Debbie's areas, they get tons of faxes for referral. That's basically unstructured data that comes in that needs to be sorted and processed. And then in order to do that, even though they have a fax solution, even in this year and age, we were looking for some more innovative way to eliminate a lot of the manual work and make the document entry to the Epic EMR more streamlined. So because of that, and there are some things that we wanted to put together for Debbie and team. So I'll just maybe leave it up to Debbie so she can explain how the project started for UCI's referral portal.
Yeah, thank you, Ediz. So kind of an overview of how we got here was, what really led us to looking for a better solution for our patients and for our referring, MDs that were trying to get referrals into UCI. Our current state was we were getting faxes. And as you probably know, faxes are, always fun, where sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't, and sometimes we get, pages missing, and sometimes they weren't legible. And so obviously it wasn't the best, the best avenue for us to receive these. Also, there was no way to communicate back and forth with the physicians if we were missing something. Obviously there were phone calls that were having to be made, and then they're visiting with patients all day long, and so getting the messages back and forth caused a delay in getting these processed and getting them over to our scheduling department so that we could get the patients in. So what we were doing basically is, as we're receiving these faxes and we're trying to come up with the file that we need to send over to scheduling and make sure the authorization's there and everything is good to go. What we ran into a lot of were that every office is different in what they're sending over, and so oftentimes we weren't getting the information that we needed in order to move it forward. So our department was basically responsible for getting those authorizations from those referring MDs, making sure that we kind of put that pretty package together where with CPT codes and the authorization and everything, demographics for the patient, everything that was needed to move on to scheduling so that they could get the patient contacted right away. And because there was no structure as far as what they needed to send, sometimes we were getting a prescription pad of a referral or an order of what was needed. And so obviously this was meaning that we were having to reach out, and there was a lot of back and forth with what was needed and trying to get, if their records were needed or, new codes were needed and things like that. It was really delaying getting these patients over to scheduling to get them taken care of. So these are some of the things that we identified that were really causing problems in our process. And we thought, what, we're having all these challenges. Let's try to find a better way so that we can make this a better process for our patients to be seen, to get scheduled a lot quicker, and then also for our referring physicians, because they don't want to go back and forth with us all day long with what's needed. They just want to send what they need to send, and we try to make it as easy as possible for them to get through our system so that they'll refer more patients to us. So processing delays, as you can see, 51% of our faxes do not contain adequate information for processing results. That was obviously causing delays. Loss of revenue because 10% of the referrals that require follow-up were never processed due to the lack of information. Sometimes we wouldn't even get insurance information. So that can't move forward without those type of things. And so we were having to make sure, again, there was a lot of back and forth. Cluttered faxes, as I mentioned earlier, more than a third of the faxes received are not referral related. That was another issue that we ran across, is that we had several different faxes that were basically led by the type of referral. So if it was an ENT referral, or if it was a cardiology referral or a cancer referral, there was a specific fax that those would come through. And sometimes, we would get, kind of junk faxes that were, sent through those. So we'd get prescriptions, or we'd get other things that really didn't pertain to referrals. So having to sift through all that to find the real referrals that needed to be processed was another reason why this new portal has been, super helpful to us, so that we can really focus on what needs to be worked and what needs to kind of go to a different area. Definitely not user friendly. I know faxes are, not many people are even using them anymore. So, it was a thing of the past. And our team, the burden on our team to go back and forth. They have their own processing timeframes that they were held accountable to, and not being able to get things done within those timeframes because they were depending on receiving information from a referring provider's office, and the back and forth, and making those phone calls and missing them, and just not having that really good communication, really led to, a little bit more stressful times for our staff as well. So that's where we kind of came to, okay, we've got all these things that are happening that are making things challenging for us and causing delays. So we wanted to come up with another solution to where, we can make things a lot easier and a little bit more streamlined moving forward. So, and that's where Ediz comes in. We always say he's our hero because he's helped us, build a solution that has made things, extremely better for our teams, our patients, our referring providers, and I'm sure he's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks so much,
All
Debbie. Yeah, that was an awesome breakdown. I've already got a number of questions and conversation topics for later, but Ediz, yeah, go for it.
Great, sounds good. So for all these problems that we wanted to address with Debbie and Tina and their teams in the UCI Referral Center, and by the way, it's a large operation. I can't remember the exact number, but the staff probably about what 80 or so. Debbie, how many staff do you have currently working?
Yeah, it's approximately 80.
Yeah, around 80 staff members managing referrals all day long, looking at faxes and things like that. So we still have faxes, but we are basically providing this as an additional option because our plan is to phase out the faxing as much as we can and encourage our providers to use the portal. So to solve these problems, we built basically a provider-facing portal, which is accessible via just regular internet. Through this URL or referral portal .ucihealth.org. So this is basically we built a website based on the Power Pages platform. Basically allow us to one is to send us the patient information that's needed and also to attach all the supporting documentation needed for a referral to be processed and Debbie's team. So that's basically my focus has been. So I do have some programming background from the past, but I'm not actively programming anything for years. So right now, I guess I'm getting a little older now, so I don't want to program anything either. So this was a solution that we built. Basically, I didn't have to write any code for any of the things I did for building the solution. It was mainly using Microsoft powered platform tools. There was one area probably just to change the fonts and things like that. I asked somebody that knows a little bit about CSS and stuff, and I probably wrote like maybe one line of CSS to get some of the formatting, like because there were changes about fonts that we wanted to do, and that was it. So how do we get this portal started? Create an automation between our platform and our on-base document management system data flow. That's the key. So a lot of times these Microsoft tools are available, and there's so many other tools that are available with Microsoft or outside of the Microsoft technology. But the challenge is, how do we integrate those tools with our line of business applications like Epic, line of business applications like for document management for on-base? So that has been the focus at where I spend a lot of my time. So currently we do have a process where on-base sends referrals from Epic from a document in on-base to a referral record in Epic. So when I saw that, all right, well, we have a great opportunity here. If we can somehow find a way to get our referrals that are coming in through this web portal to on-base, we could utilize the existing referral filing logic from on-base to Epic to streamline the flow so we don't need a new Microsoft to Epic connector or anything like that to make this happen. So just to explain it a little bit before I dive into this too much, I want to show you guys this diagram of like where basically kind of capture the entire solution, what we're doing. So we have our providers using Microsoft Power Pages, and they log in with a username and password, get in, fill out a form, attach their supporting documentation, and then hit submit. Well, what happens after that? It's just some Dataverse records, right? That's nothing else at this point. So, one of the things we've been able to do in UCI side, we created a Microsoft on-premise gateway to be able to access those file system records through Dataverse. So once we get that going, we have some Power Automate flows and things like that are running to get the files within our internal network into a share where they are available through that share, which is a secure share, and an on-base system, which is our document management system, has a automatic digesting import processor that takes those documents as they come in and digest them into on-base. Once they're digested into on-base, this is when when the providers sent us the document, this was the first time Debbie and Tina's team actually see the documents. So none of the stuff is visible to them. They just is where they go see it. They go into OnBase, and then I'll show you some screenshots of how that's plays out too. They go in there. It's basically kind of like a sorting queue, work queue, you can imagine. So they go in there and then say, okay, this is a referral, and this is a medical record, and this is authorization. So they label those documents as they need to, and then they push a button. Once they push a button, the button says there, like, create referral to Epic or file to Epic record or whatever that needs to be done with that. So the end result is the document ends up in Epic. And that's a huge, huge accomplishment for us, because we've been able to get outside documentation that are coming from the physicians and have been able to provide a screening mechanism for those documents to come in. And obviously, we're not using Copilot or anything like that on this one yet, but I think those are some of the things that I think we could look at it. Some opportunities within this area. Maybe we could use Copilot in the future, Copilot Studio, and some other mechanisms to, or some of the AI agents as possible. But currently, we are just basically going into the OnBase and manually reviewing those documents, and then make a decision whether it to be a referral or an order or an authorization, and then they do that. Once they do that, the documents flow into Epic. Well, so that's kind of like the overall technology of it, and some of the things that we built onto the side. It's a self-service access request with referral center review for provisioning. So our users request access. I'm going to actually go open the site. Instead of just doing a section for demo, I'm just going to go as we go. I'm going to show that. So we have a button here. It's called Referral Center, referralportal.uci.org. So our users have a button here. So if you're a new provider who never accessed our system and you want to be provisioned to our portal, you actually click on here. When you click on here, you basically fill out a form. So it's because they do submit patient information. We don't really just self-register people. No, self-registration is disabled. So they do fill out this form. Once they fill out this form, they will send us their name, first name, last name, email, what specialty that they're working with in their own office, and then hit submit. So once they submit this form, it actually creates a request on our end on our model-driven app. So we do have a model-driven app that's basically running off of this. So we do get a section called, we do have a portal requests as they come in. So these portal requests come in and they show up here. So when I submit this information and it automatically pops in here, and then our users go in here and say which providers want to see our access to our system. So they go ahead and do that. So they will find it here, and then they'll open up the record and then just say edit. And then if they seem all checks out okay, this person needs to be created, they go and come to here, go to contacts, and then say new contact, enter the information, and save and close. Well, that's all Debbie's team does, because we wanted to get the provisioning process for them as streamlined as possible. Review the request that was submitted. If it's a legit request, create the contact and save and close. All the roles or what kind of provisioning, what role they're going to get on the website, and all that is all automated through our Power Platform flow. So we do have.
Yeah, I hate to. Sorry to break in here, Ediz, but that was what I wanted to zoom in on here. Actually, is there's so much, when you look at the end-to-end process that you had up on the slide a second ago. That is, and I've got some questions and some things that I want to frame up later. That is sure. Like that flow right there. That is an accomplishment in and of itself, but on the front end of this, you also have like the onboarding process baked into this and automated as well. So you outside of the big wins with some of your ROI and business measures, Debbie, like you had talked about, like, hey, reducing the ceiling on the 51% of faxes that don't have adequate info. So tackling those business challenges and measures alone is an accomplishment, but you also have the identity management, the request process, and the onboarding process all up baked into this and automated with some human validation in the mix as well, which is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So to allow our basically automation around provisioning and the revision. So what we have is a new contact auto email invitation. So this is the flow that we have here. So basically, like Adam just you were mentioning earlier, well, we have a flow here. What it does is automatically provisions our users to a specific user role because they're coming through the portal. There's one role that's basically UCI portal user, and that's where they get provision to that. So when a new row is added, we do some things here. We get the row that we get the web role that they need to be assigned to, and then we create an invitation here on the fly, and then provision that user to that role, and then we send an email to the user saying, "Hey, your request has been approved by UCI and have been reviewed and approved." So basically, our users get an email like this one over here. So I'll just show you guys what that email looks like. So they will get an email like this, say, "Thank you for your request and access to the portal. Your request has been reviewed by University of California and the referral center and has been approved. To register, click on here." So at this point, this is like one interesting area that I wanted to tell everybody. Oh, Debbie and team are not in the business of setting passwords and creating all this stuff, managing their authorization. Users, once they get this invitation link, they click on this link and use this invitation code, copy paste from here. And that's how they activate their accounts. So Debbie and team do not activate accounts. I don't activate accounts. It's all self-serve on activating part of it, but the manual review is done initially by this email. And this basically this flow is the one this flow is the one that's making it happen, that process. So automatically bringing it into the to the system. And so obviously the provisioning happens like this. They come in here, and also I want to also in the sign-on process too, we do have a two-factor authentication via email. So every time you want to log in to the application, so if you were to log off and then you want to log back in, you will always see the sign-in screen. So when you say I'm out sign on right now, but if I were to sign off and sign back in, every time I log in, I get an email on the email that I'm registered under the portal, and then I have to enter this code that I'm emailed. So this security code has to be entered in for users to get in to actually go ahead and authenticate themselves. So let's get into a little bit about like how the portal actually runs. So I'm just going to show like a little demo. So let's say I can come in here. I'm logged in right now. I have home. There's very basic Power Page, nothing fancy here. So we can look at my requests. So if I've submitted any requests from before, I can check my referral status, like what is Debbie and team doing? Because I'm the provider office, right? So I'm basically a front desk person, maybe somewhere in Orange County, like somebody who sits at the front desk and sending our patients, their patients to UC Irvine for care. So they want to know about what the patient's statuses are. Are they being taken care of? Is the referral center received it? Do they need additional information? Do I have to message them for something? Whatever. So those type of things, they see the status of the documents here on their request, and then they can click on here and read more details. And so there's a few other features here. The more interesting part is when they do the new request. So when they do new request here, this is where they enter all the patient demographics information that they want. This is where they are from, and then this is part where they are sending their patients to, like what specialty kind of information that needs to be for this patient to be treated. So I'll go ahead and just enter that real quick here, so that you can just kind of enter. We have some required fields that go in here. Obviously, patient date of birth and things like that. Those are things that insurance type. So some of the requirement fields that Debbie and team cannot live without, we made those requires. Obviously, we are also populating, as you see, with some of the table permissions and things like that. We have some Power Platform capabilities here. We're defaulting the username and whoever used logged in, and we're pulling their provider office. So this is like, let's say, ENT Associates of Orange County or something like that, whichever provider office they're from, we're pulling their name and the contact information and their provider, national provider ID. So those are being pulled in from, and then also this drop down is basically whatever doctors that they have and that provider, we set that up so they can choose that doctor's name here. So that way that allows them to give a more specifically around if you have a clinic, let's say, that have 10 doctors, and then this request is coming from that office, which doctor, which one of the 10 doctors is this request coming through? So because there's only usually one or two front desk person who is managing all these documents for 10 visit providers. So they need a place to do that. So that's part of the account too. So if I were to log in with a different user, this provider dropdown would be different, because then that user only has access to certain providers. So that's also done with some table permissions and things like that. There's some other stuff going on there, but if anybody interested in that, that's probably this part that I spend quite a bit of my time, some of the technical parts of it, how this all comes together. And this is the part that's important to the providers. Is this a routine or a stat request? They put that in. Which specialty they're being done. This is a very important part, especially for Debbie and team, because when they choose this one here, this is what allows the data flow in on-base, like which on-base, which referral area the documents are going to be flowing into. So this is a very important part that there's in the Python logic, there is something that says, well, if it's cardiology, send it over to this on-base area, and this other one, send it to this other workflow area. So that's important part of it.
And they just to
Go ahead.
Just to add on to that one was super helpful, because we had, having 8 different faxes that go to different specialties. I mean, you can't have a fax for every specialty. And so we had one for cardiology, one for cancer, one for the different ones that were the main ones. And we just had one for everything else. And imagine a referring provider calling in and saying, hey, did you get my fax? And, we're sifting through on-base trying to find this needle in a haystack, right? And so this is why this part is really important. Even the routine and the urgents, we've got our own urgent file now, which we didn't have before. So trying to find those ones that need to be processed quickly. Again, just even if it was one of the specialized folders and we had 100 requests versus thousands, still trying to find those main ones. So this is having these sections on here helps us with information, but also the routing to where it helps us to be a little bit more streamlined in what we're processing and how quickly we're processing it too. So I just wanted to add on that. It's been, that was really, like, they just kind of look like, little things that they fill out, but on our end, it makes such a difference. So
I was going to echoing that a little bit with everything Ediz you were stepping through. It was with some of the settings you have under the referring provider section and some on the form a little lower, it's dynamic, and you're pre-filling and you're streamlining the process. So along with what Debbie just highlighted, where hey, we're actually setting it might seem trivial or menial as you're setting a drop down or playing with a field here or there, but downstream that really alleviates so much pressure, or some of the manual work, or the chair swivels, or the screen hops that we used to have, or I should say fax machine hops that we were going through before. And there are some like tricks and tips under the hood too, like Ediz, you mentioned, hey, this is where I spend a lot of my time, like metadata settings and all of the table permissions, because all this is related data too. So it's not just making things easier in terms of user experience, it's streamlining the downstream automation. It's making things a little bit easier and dynamic and pre-filled for those for these referrals. So it's great to see. It's great to see.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, guys. I'm just gonna jump. This is I don't mention earlier. This is a multi-step form. For Power Pages. So the first part of it is basically collecting information about the referral and the patient. The second part of it is supporting documentation upload. So when I click next here, it goes to the multi-step form. This is where Debbie and team, they are the ones who upload all the documents. So I've created a form here, basically, please attach your information, right? So they can add here as many documents as they want. So they come in and here create. We have created a drop-down, insurance card, medical records, authorization. This is custom tailored for Debbie and our team needs. So these are the 3 documents that they're interested in. So they come and choose it, and then they say choose file, and then they can just basically any document that they have on their system, and then they can just click on it on their computer and then say submit. So it processes the first file. So you have it here. You have another attachment. You come in here, medical records. Let's say this one. You choose another file, and then you can choose another file here. Click on it and then submit. So this way you can attach your documents as much as you go, and you don't have to enter for every single kind. This is where we leave it up to the user's discretion and on how many documents that they're going to add. And after that, they hit submit. So this is where the magic happens. So when you say submit here, within a few minutes, so when they submit here, now we have a Power Automate flow that basically looks at all the things that come in here and then send it over to UCI. Well, how are we doing that? So you might be wondering, okay, I understand the PDFs in the second part where you had the PDF attached. Well, hang on a minute. You don't have anything for this form because OnBase is a document management system. Everything has to be a document. So I have to send, if I sent, let's say from this example, I sent 2 attachments and then plus this form, right? Where is that form going to go? So I have to make a document out of this form. So that's one of the things I spent some time too. So what I'm doing is basically, since these are stored in a Dataverse, these forms, so what I have is I need to create a document using Power Automate for all the information that's on this flow. So to do that, I have created this Word document. This is a Word document with basically, these are the prompts and these are the text box controls under the developer section. So you just create these text box controls and then you call them whatever you want. And then we refer to these text box elements in our Power Automate flow. So, and then when we do that, we use some OneDrive business tools that are available in Microsoft Power Automate to fill out this form. So end result becomes a filled out version of this form. So I want to show that real quick. So let's just check on the Power Automate. So once this is entered here, we end up with like these documents. So this is the intake form. We basically take that PDF and then we take that intake form, write it in Word, or write all the information from Dataverse into Word document, convert that to PDF, and that's how we get this intake form. And then for every single attachment that was done, we also do the same and then create these documents. I create an intake number, and this is like a Dataverse identifier, and then followed by the name of the document. So this way, it allows uniqueness on the file because we need to have unique file names here because we don't want anything to be overwritten before they're picked up. So these files are generated, but you might be wondering, what are these files? What do you need? So this is the files that OnBase need. OnBase needs these files. These are text files that help OnBase to understand these files. So basically, this is saying this is a medical records file. This is the medical record number for the patient. This is the patient last name, patient first name, patient middle initial, patient's date of birth. So this is basically the information that was filled out from the form, what OnBase needs to extract the meaning fields on that. And also, in addition to that, we also have a file reference here. So this is a file. It basically is a file reference where in our system this file is at. So when OnBase is picking it up, it knows where to pick it up from. Well, you might say, how did you do this? Like, how did you create these files and these ones? Well, it's all in Power Automate. So we did that by the power of Power Automate. So if you come in here, we have another flow that says create intake form. So this is the flow that does everything. So what it does is it looks at if there's a new, we have a new table called intake. This is a new custom table that I created. Anytime a row is written to this table, it automatically gets the information, like who's this people, the user information, set some variables here, and this is where the magic happens with the OneDrive business. This file is sitting somewhere in the UCI share that nobody has access to. It's a Word document. OneDrive for Business connector reads that file from here and then populate all the fields using Dataverse. So this is how that word gets filled out.
Ediz, those fields that you see listed on the left-hand side, those are all mapped. Those are all coming from those metadata tags that you walk through in the document template, correct?
Yes, that's where they're coming from. From the document template, basically. So this is it automatically creates a new file from OneDrive and basically takes those files, and then from that template, it tiles them with the values from the Dataverse for that instance that you basically reading here on the first one from the first new information that come in. So we create some, we take the body of it, we convert it to PDF so that the documents are in PDF format. So we don't have to worry about Word documents and things like that. So another one, we also, for every document, we put that onto the share folder. So that's where the document goes in. And then here's things, and then we create the text file for OnBase to digest it, right? And because we created the form PDF, but how do we tell OnBase? Well, we have to tell OnBase how to digest it. In order to do that, we need a text file. So we did create that text file here. But interesting part, this is part I list a little bit of time I haven't applied to each group here that does it, because these are all stored in the notes. So what I'm doing is every document that we're uploading in the portal is actually writing to the notes table. So for each intake, I am looping through each note, right? And then finding note details, finding out what that kind of document they are, and then also doing some checking validation here, and then we are creating the file in the folder that we have through that connector. So we are creating these files. Basically, what it is doing is basically creating these files here, and then we do it for each attachment. And then after we create all of them, we do the same thing for each document, and then we create the index files for them. So when we do this, all these files are generated. So this basically is taking what portal generated and make that portal information in Dataverse and translate it into a language that our document management system can understand, because our document management system can understand files, attachments, and text, or kind of a CSV file or some kind of a metadata file or XML or whatever, and take that and then digest these files very quickly, very efficiently, and then has the capability to send it off to other systems in our organization. Well, because we don't have a direct connector or anything like from Power Automate to OnBase, this is why we had to do this. Otherwise, if we had a connector, and then we just kind of connected that instance in the cloud and it would be done, but we don't. So we have to build that solution kind of our own. So once we do that, so the documents actually end up in OnBase. So within about a minute or two, the documents will be digested, and this is where it's going to go. So in OnBase, our users go to this OnBase screen. So with where they see the portal documents come in, this is in OnBase. So now we don't have anything to do with Power Automate at this point. Power Platform, the document come in here, and it becomes a line item here. So for example, if you entered ENT here in that's what Debbie was talking about. So if I were saying like, I'm referring somebody for ear, right? If it's referred to ear, then they would be automatically, basically automatically be coming over to the ENT folder here. So that's what it's driving, all of those selections. So when they look at it, they review the document, see it looks good, check with everything, and then if the patient is got the right authorizations and things like that, it's ready to be scheduled. They click on this magical button here called Create Epic Referral. When they click on this, it actually creates a referral record in Epic with all the patients. And not only that, auto attaches this document into the Epic record. So when you actually go into Epic, this is Epic referral entry screen. This record is already created in Epic, and the document is already, see, it says consult referral from OnBase. So the document is also auto attached. This is huge because we are taking away all this manual scanning for them, because otherwise they would have to come in here, open up Epic, find the patient, create a new referral, find the document somewhere, and attach it again into this Epic record. That is huge. So now we have given the document, we have basically given the work to the provider offices. So they are the ones who are doing that, so we don't have to do it again. Because in our earlier solutions, we had to do over and over, like somebody attached a document, faxed it, and then we have to upload it again, manual work. But once the provider office uploads the document, there is no manual upload document. It's all based on automation because this document is auto-attached. Because it's auto-attached, our Epic users can look at this document, open it on a separate window, move it to the next monitor, and then fill out all the necessary information to schedule that patient because they have the document. They don't have to go to OnBase. They don't even have to go to OnBase to get the document because this is where the document is. It is in Epic. So this is one of the things the referral center has to work fast. They are number one revenue generator in the health system. So they need to be able to work efficient. They don't have the time every single time scheduling patients to go log into OnBase and looking for a document. They have to be able to do it here. And this allows them to do it here. Even though this document is stored in OnBase, it is actually linked in here. So they can just double click on this line here, pop up the document without having to log into OnBase. So this is where a lot of the efficiency comes from. So once they do that, once everything checks out, they put the patient in ready to schedule status. That means it's ready for the patient to be contacted via phone or text or whatever. And once they do that, the document basically automatically qualifies to an Epic work queue. And for it to be worked, so somebody who's in charge of scheduling opens up this work queue and look at all the patients that needs to be scheduled, and then enter them and contact them, text, phone, or whatever, so that the patients can be seen in a timely manner.
This is awesome.
So that kind of like overall, obviously does the same thing. I want to maybe just ask if there are any questions, just I can maybe answer. But this is kind of like the meat of the presentation.
That's awesome. I have some questions. I don't see any in the chat here, nor in our Q&A, but I wanted to just pick your collective brains here a little bit on we had a session to kind of set the stage for today, and we had a little bit of discourse around these things, but I guess one thing I wanted to ask you is, like, what motivated you to to look at Power Pages? I know that you had been considering some options, but to go with Power Platform, what really was the catalyst or the main driver for that?
So one of the main drivers for us is we looked into building a web portal. When we look into a web portal, we thought about, okay, we could go and work with a company who does some kind of web development, or within internally IT we have web teams as well, right? So we have web teams that does all of this stuff, web development. So we could ask for a custom application. It would take probably very long time. Maybe will take probably 8 months, 7 months or something just to build up some kind of a website prototype. But it would have been, once we get into the authentication, two-factor, secure site, you have HIPAA information in here, and well, is it going to stay in the demilitarized zone versus what can come into our health organization inside our network versus what needs to be outside? Gosh, gets too complicated, very complicated. So that was we actually hired a company who do the web development outside, and then they were unable to do so. Like there was a lot of issues with getting them understanding what we need and having to get a job started. So after that, we looked into OnBase has a full-blown web solution, like a web thin client in the web. So they wanted to look into that. So we looked at that, but that one had basically limitations around the being able to publish the website to a public-facing URL. So that's what they had a problem with. So because it's an internal system, the UCI, the infrastructure that those servers and web servers are available at is not something that could be exposed to outside. So because of that, but we do have Microsoft Cloud. So I started making research and I found out that we have Microsoft Cloud. So we're actually a very good customer, very good paying customer. We are a large customer for Microsoft, and we do have a lot of tools that we did not know existed. So we did not have to pay additional to Microsoft anything for this. What we've done, we've done it with what we've already been licensed for. So we didn't have to go and purchase any licenses or anything like that. So for any of this stuff, so that's been very, very good that we've been able to do this with our with the tools that we have in place.
You mentioned it is the I was going to bring that up is, it's like security network considerations. You spelled everything out that I was wondering about. You've got internal, external infrastructure you have to be mindful of. You have MFA set up in the portal, so you do have capabilities to bolster your security posture there. But hey, all of these services are HIPAA compliant too. I know that we've got just limited time left, but this might be a question for Debbie. Do you have any, like, after this has gone live and seeing some of the impact here, can you share any specific, if not direct or discrete metrics? Obviously that's going to be a story told over time, but like success stories here, even if that's anecdotal user feedback, would love to hear, anything that it is impactful for the team.
Yeah, definitely. Our processing times have increased. I mean, we're definitely getting what we need now, and we're getting it much quicker to get it over to, so we can get the patients in, get them seen. We used to get so many people say, why does it take so long to get into UCI? And it wasn't that we weren't getting them, we were getting the information, but we weren't getting all of it, and the back and forth causing those delays. And now we have much less of that happening. So I know not some people are still faxing and stuff, so we're hoping that the more people that continue to come over will continue to see that that delay decrease. Another thing too is being able to communicate through the portal. It's been super helpful because they're not calling to ask if we got the fax or if we got the information. There's not a lot of back and forth. They can see that we got it. They can see if it's been processed. They can see if it's complete. They can see where it's at. And I think it just makes them feel a little bit more comfortable with knowing where their stuff is and, that it's getting taken care of instead of, I sent it, I don't know if it got there. And then, they call, and then there's this big pile of faxes we have to search through, and hopefully we can find it, in the next few minutes, because when they're on the phone, you're looking through 1,000 faxes, they don't remember exactly when they sent it. So you're doing your best, but it just doesn't make them feel confident that we're handling it as best as, we could. And so this has been, a game changer for us in a lot of different ways. So
that's awesome. Reducing disruption, increasing efficiency, making more streamlined, more pleasant user experiences across the board. You do love to hear it. I was actually going to ask about, any strategies to encourage adoption of the referral portal, because you created a dedicated channel, which I find so impressive. You used to have things in a mix of different faxes and ways to engage, and you'd have to sift through all of that. So that you have a dedicated workload and a funnel for this really would help. But I think a network adoption strategy conversation, we could probably take a whole session or just on that. So we'll table that for for right now. But I think overall this is just like something like this could really stand as a fantastic POV or like a solution posture, or I don't want to say template, but a spine, a backbone that you can grow from. When, especially in those workloads where you're engaging not just like referring physicians, but patients, vendors, partners, customers, the list goes on, in different pockets and different demographics and segments of people that you interact with on the outside. So this has been awesome. I don't see any other questions in chat, so I will close out today with just one more. I'll share my screen here one last time. Just a couple of reminders. Entire screen. There we go. Share that out. Don't forget, we are fourth Thursday of every month. So next month we have, again, Amber Weiss, GBB, coming in to talk about autonomous agents, and we will get hands-on with that. So not just kind of telling the story and the vision and setting that stage, but actually getting hands-on with some of the inner workings and configuration. And I did pin the message in the chat here with some of the channels. They're also on the slide here to the right, the Power Hug main page, feedback, and some of the socials via YouTube and LinkedIn. You can scan the QR code here if that's a better experience for you. Follow our Power Hug leaders, our Power Hug LT, Scott Dwyer, Randall Eichema, Mary Brummer on LinkedIn. Those links are included here. We will be posting this session on YouTube in short-ish order, and you can check that out with the link on the bottom. So with that, Debbie, Ediz, UCI team, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today and your willingness to jump into Power Hug. This is, and know that this can really benefit, a lot of people, not just, like I said a minute ago, for referrals, but getting creative with art of the possible on external engagement. And really appreciate you, Ediz, jumping into the guts of the solution here today.
Yeah.
So
I want to say one more thing before we close,
yeah,
Adam. There are a few things that we're looking into do is like one is introduce more AI document processing to this process. So those documents that you saw, they are unstructured PDFs, right? They're coming in. So one of the things that kind of the future plan to introduce AI builder or document processing using ChatGPT or some kind of a mechanism to put these documents through AI processing first, so that the document type and patient name and information extraction can be performed prior to going to OnBase. So that will help a lot of the manual work. So that's one of the things that we were looking at to do. And second thing I want to mention is you asked about the adoption is we are basically trying to encourage new sites that are joining the UCI umbrella to use the new facilities to use the portal as much as possible. So maybe for existing months, yes, kind of, it may be, you might be too late in the game. They are hard to, it's kind of harder for the adoption for them. But for the new facilities, we've been trying to make sure that this is the way that we advertise for them, so that when they use it.
Standardize it. I love it. And I do love hearing that, hey, you're exploring ways to get more intelligent and use some of the AI services that we have under the hood, probably across the landscape too. So that's fantastic. Appreciate it, Ediz. And with that, thank you so much, everybody. On to the next. We'll see you next month.